Ananda, having love and joy in the heart. So we'll have a meditation, and afterwards, if anyone has any questions, I'll be happy to answer. And just one thing, I was watching some videos of some wonderful music, Bach's B minor Mass, Handel's Messiah. And one of the things I really noticed, and it's so applicable to the work that please try and stop moving. It's so applicable to the work that we do, how effortless these singers were. It's like all the music is just inside them and it just comes out simply, without great drama, it just comes. It was just amazing to watch how technically proficient they are, to tap that level of creativity. Our work is no different. It should be effortless. It should be not pushing and pulling and making big drama. Just open the heart, breathe properly, and do it with consciousness. Do it with the development of the craft of inner work. Because the same way these singers develop the craft of what they do. And tell you, it was amazing revelation to me to see that in these singers. And, they were very great singers too. But how, centered they were, how effortlessly they sang what they were singing. And they were singing very difficult things to sing. One has to be really centered and one has to be really focused inside themselves to be able to do stuff like that. So we'll have a meditation, and if anyone has questions afterwards, I'll be happy to try and answer. Muted everyone, and if anyone has a question, I'll be happy to try and answer.
Stuart, this is Emma. I have a question, which is that sometimes I see you in the third eye, or what seems to be the third eye, some space. And it seems to be more often recently. Do you know what that is, or an idea of what that is?
Look, in this meditation, you'll see all kinds of visions and, cosmic visions. You'll see visions of me becoming a 150-year-old person or being an infant. You'll see light, you'll see auras. And I'm not here to interpret these things, because I've seen them all my life. And I recognize them as just being energy that we as students of this work have to take inside ourselves and let it work on us. Because if you start interpreting this thing, no matter who looks at it, you can get as many interpretations. And frankly, I don't even understand it. All I know is that I've spent my entire life experiencing it. When I was with Rudy, when I'm teaching, or, all over the world, I've experienced exactly what you have described. And I'm not interested in understanding it or knowing even what it is. I'm interested in only one thing, using these cosmic experiences to develop my inner life and build a stronger system that can connect me with God. Because once I start interpreting things, it just becomes kind of fodder in my brain, and it really brings everything down to a different level. It turns everything into, I don't know, it gets very sterile when you start interpreting things. It's like a great work of art. You can't interpret it, and that's what makes it a great work of art. There's something in it that transcends ordinary thought. There's something in this work that we do that transcends ordinary thought. You know, the energy of God, the energy of spirit has a logic completely its own. And when you experience the things that you've described, you're tuning into that level of logic. It's a different level of seeing, of hearing, of touching, of smelling, of everything that we do, you know? So I'm not here to explain these things. I'm very grateful that you see all these things. Now just take it inside you and let it work on you and let it really develop your inner life. Because to see those things is very strong energy. And one has to embrace it. And you don't have to understand it. I don't understand it. And I've been seeing things like that all my life. I don't want to understand it, because if I understand it, I bring it down to my level of understanding. I'm interpreting things that are beyond human understanding. And suddenly you become like a theater critic or art critic, and you're interpreting everything instead of just opening and letting it nurture you inside and letting it help you to grow and letting it become living experience. That's really the key to all of this. So I don't know, I know that I experience these things, but I don't try to understand them or interpret them or give them meaning. I just open and let them nurture me, let them nourish me inside, let them become my consciousness attuning itself to a different logic in the universe. And that logic tells me, don't think about it, just take it in and let it work on you and let it help you to grow in your life. So I'm sorry I can't answer your question the way you answered it, but I think I answered your question. And just take it in and be grateful that you're seeing things like that and let them work on you. Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask? I mean, people since the beginning of time, and theologians and philosophers have been trying to figure out this planet and God and rational explanations for God and all that. Nobody's ever done it. Nobody's ever done it. They're still trying. And yes, it uncovers all kinds of meanings and, things in life, but nobody gets to the profundity of it, to the essence of it, because it's not supposed to be understood. It's supposed to be experienced in a profound way. You take it inside yourself. And I'm not a theologian and I'm not a philosopher. Well, I probably could sit down and have a good conversation with both of them, but it's not my job. My job is to transmit Shakti. And my job is to help people build systems inside themselves that are strong enough so that they can have a spiritual life. And when you start having a spiritual life, there's a whole other logic that works in the world. It's that same thing that creates great works of art, great dance, great music, great, books, great poems, great, that energy that flows. That poet writes a great poem, and I did this, I did this. It just comes through them. All they did was develop the craft. It's like I was talking about these singers I was listening to today, and the B minor Mass and the Messiah, and listening to them sing is just miraculous how they've developed the craft and the music just flows through them. Without an effort, it's effortless. And that's the thing that was staggering to me. But to get to that state of effortlessness, it's a lifetime's work on oneself, to build the craft inside that allows one to transmit that kind of energy and creativity. Does anyone else have a question? Doing it is effortless. Getting to the place where you can do it is an enormous amount of work. And ask any one of those singers and they'll tell you. I mean, right, Chris? Chris will tell you. It's an
9
enormous
years.
amount of work. Getting there, doing it is effortless. It's the same thing in our work. Getting there takes commitment, focus, time, overcoming oneself. But once you master the craft, it just flows. It just works.
So beautiful. So true. Yes.
Question, Stuart. You talk a lot about having a spiritual life and doing this for that, having that need. Could you just tell me what, or tell us what you mean by a spiritual life? What does that mean to you?
You want me to define it?
Yeah.
You know, look, when you wake up every morning in God's playground and whatever goes on in your life is a miracle of creation, you know you're having a spiritual life. When there's joy in your heart, there's love inside you. When you become a servant of higher energy in the universe, you are having a spiritual life. And in order to do that, it's the same thing over again. We've got to get free of the one person who keeps us from doing it, which is ourselves. A spiritual life is not, you know, some kind of cosmic, you know, it's living in the world, being free of the world, recognizing that everything in life is a manifestation of God, recognizing that everything we experience is part of our evolution of growth so that we can get closer and closer to spiritual enlightenment. That's what a spiritual life is. And being happy above everything else, being happy, having joy in your heart, you know, not just, you know, when you win the lotto or something great happens or, you know, you get a great job, you meet somebody you fall in love with, but all the time from when you're taking out the garbage, when you're doing stuff you don't like to do with your heart open, with love, and that's a spiritual life. I always say happy people are enlightened people, you know, and it took me a long time to learn that. And it's really true. Happy people are enlightened people. But find a happy person. It's like really finding the Holy Grail, you know, to find somebody who's a happy person.
Thank you, Stuart.
You're welcome. Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask? Just one thing before we end the class. Try in the class to center the camera so that, like right here, I see just the top of somebody's head, you know, and you got to center the camera so that I can see you. And also be sure that you are well lit, because sometimes I can't even see people, you know, they're not well lit, and it makes it very difficult for me to work with them. So try to be sure that you're not sitting in a room with a window with light coming behind you, because that will darken your face. Have a lamp in front of you that can lighten your face, so that it makes it possible for me to work deeper with you. And it's really important. So try to do that in the next class. And focus the camera so that I see you. You know, I don't see just the top of your head. You know, it makes it very hard for me to work with you if I just see the top of your head. Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask? Okay, there'll be meditation tomorrow evening. God bless you all, and thank you for being here, for sharing this with me. And I'm very grateful to sit here and do this and to see the twinkle in the eye of all the people sitting here and doing this work. It's extraordinary. It's an extraordinary thing. And I think it's a very great miracle that's taken place, to be able to touch people all over the world and to look at them and see that twinkle in their eye you know, their hearts open, love inside. I mean, I couldn't ask for a better way to spend time in any given day of my life. So God bless you all. Thank you. And we'll have meditation tomorrow evening.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank you,
much.
Stuart.